Gentlemen, I had a crazy experience I got to share with you. If you're watching this channel, generally you're practicing semen retention or you're on the spiritual journey, and that's why you're practicing retention. I was like blown away with this experience. I feel like I had a perception of the soul, and I've never had this before. I've had some cool experiences, out-of-body experiences, lucid dreaming. I've had some really cool experiences on this path, but this was of a new level. So I really wanted to share it with you just because I felt like you would be interested. I know many of you are on the spiritual path and you want to have deeper spiritual experiences. So I want to share what I've been doing in my life recently that's, I believe, allowed this to unfold so that you can also go deeper into the spiritual path and perhaps you can perceive the soul directly. Let's get into it. Hi, my name is Nakula and I help men master their S3X energy so you can become a powerhouse both in and outside the bedroom and ultimately unleash all the gifts that God has given you. Go take the free transmutation guide as a starting point to your journey. Now, semen retention is practiced for many different reasons. I've trained athletes to use this practice so they enhance their athletics. I've trained guys to become more attractive and magnetic so that they can attract a healthy relationship into their life. They can repair their marriage. Guys are practicing semen retention just to restore their energy and vitality. But the ultimate, the highest form of semen retention practice is truly a spiritual practice to become self-aware and ultimately transcend the body and mind. Now, you cannot just practice semen retention and achieve that. Semen retention is part of the process, but not the whole process. Meaning, just by retaining your semen doesn't all of a sudden mean you're going to become more spiritual or self-aware. Semen retention enhances what you're focusing on. So if you're practicing semen retention and you're focusing on getting laid more because that's what you want, I'm not here to judge it. I'm just saying you're just going to get more lusty. Semen retention is if you're focused, like Napoleon Hill talks about it, to stimulate the mind and focus on wealth creation, it's going to push you to create more wealth. It's going to push you to create athletics like semen retention Pereira. If you ever see Pereira, Alex Pereira, like how focused he is, right? It comes from his practice, his inner world practice. I got a video, by the way, coming up that I'm doing called Develop the Focus of a Fighter. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. You won't want to miss that one. I practice semen retention so that I can grow closer to God. And most of the guys who work with me inside of Nakula training grounds, because we're an interfaith men's ministry, we're all on our path to God in different expressions. So I don't promote one path as better or worse than the other. It's the false ego. My path is better than your path. However you get to God, I just pray that you get to Him and you develop a personal relationship. There will be nothing more fulfilling and beneficial than developing a relationship with God. And semen retention or chastity is part of that, because you cannot indulge in the material world constantly and be chasing external pleasures. You have to actually go within yourself to connect with God, because God is here. He's in your heart. Consciousness is within you. And as within, so without. See, as you shift your consciousness, so too will all aspects of your life. I've had so many, we're like such in a good place. We've got more students now than ever before. We've got my relationships, my marriage, my friendships have blossomed. I've always been like, I don't have friends, I don't have a social life. I got shit to do every night if I wanted right now. Like, I feel so grateful and blessed. And that's because I've dove deeper into my spiritual practice. Now, the other night, it was early in the morning, 2-3 o'clock in the morning, and I was praying and I was doing some prayers or some specific meditations and practices. And then I went into, just to be very open, I was doing the rosary. And then I went into like a deep meditation practice where it was an intuitive, that's what I'm hesitating to call it practice, because I'm just like reminiscing on it with you. And like, what was I doing? The heck was I doing at 2 a.m, right? Doing the rosary. And then after that, after I finished the round of the rosary, and I've done, mantra meditation of different types and stuff. I teach all different types of practices in my course. And then I just put my hands together and I folded my hands. And I just started feeling a deep sense of gratitude. And I just started saying prayers for people. I'm grateful for my wife. I'm grateful for the cats. I'm grateful for the community, the church, the temples. I just started saying gratitude for so many different things. And as I started saying gratitudes in my mind's eye, I started seeing like my house, and then it expanded to the local church that I've been part of, which is like just up the street. And then I started seeing like the neighborhood, and then I was like showing gratitude and just praying for everyone in the neighborhood. And then it expanded to the city. And then like the city, I live in St. John in Canada. And then I saw like St. John, and I just prayed for St. John. Then I saw my province of New Brunswick, and I saw that. Then I saw Canada, and I started praying for our nation in Canada. Then I saw the world, and I started praying for the whole world and all nations and all people and all living entities. Then this kind of expansion as I saw the solar system, all within my mind's eye. And then it was like I was praying for the solar system. And then I saw what I could only maybe describe as the universe. I'm not sure. And then I started praying for the multiverse. I said, for every living thing, for all of God's creation, everything I understand and don't understand. And it wasn't like I was like I'm kind of getting hype right now. I wasn't hype. I was like in myself, and I was just doing this internally. I wasn't saying this out loud, but I kept seeing this expansion. And then all of a sudden, everything went super black, and like I can't even say it was in my mind. This is where I feel like it was a perception of the soul, because I felt outside of my mind and body. I didn't feel connected to my mind and body. And I just saw in the distance this bright light, just white, bright light. I wasn't doing anything. There was no sound or anything. But then I had this strange sensation of like, I can only describe as like being sucked into like a black hole. Like almost felt like this vortex, and it was just pulling me. And I wanted to go to the light. Like I wanted to go. Like I was like, let's do it. Let's go. But I couldn't. It's just as far as I could get. I remember like going, come on. Like, like almost like, come on, let's do this. I want to see what that is. Or I want to get a closer glimpse. And that was it. That was all God gave me. But it was tremendous, because when my eyes opened up, I just felt tremendous peace. And I'll tell you a few things that recently I've been doing that I think has allowed an experience like that to happen, which is obviously I've been practicing semen retention, but I've really been practicing chastity, which is being chaste in my mind, not allowing my mind to wander. I haven't been fantasizing about women, or the only place I really see like women that I really interact with women that are like attractive to me is at the gym. But even there, like I'm not like, even if I see an attractive woman, like, yeah, I have a bodily or biological response to being like, oh, wow, she's gorgeous. But I've even been changing my language to be like, she's beautiful. And then moving on. Wow, she's beautiful. All right, back to my chest press or whatever. I haven't been dwelling. I haven't allowed my mind to be dwelling on these things. And that's been tremendous amounts of peace. Now, what's really allowed even that to happen is I've plugged back into a spiritual community. I've been going to a local church, and I've been part of many spiritual communities, part of the Hare Krishna community, which has just had such a positive and beautiful impact. I've spent time with the Shambhala Buddhists. I've spent time, like kind of new agey practices and breath work and yogis. And I'm very open, because I believe God is omniscient, omnipresent, omnipotent. He is everywhere. You can connect with him everywhere as long as you're keeping him in your mind. And that's the point. That's what I've been doing. See, I've been really keeping God in my mind. I've been focusing a lot on Christ and the form of Jesus and his love and his compassion. And that's what I've been feeling in service. And so I've actually been like part of this thing called Soul Food Cafe. I just feel like I'm just serving people. And that's just been pouring out into the ministry that we have here, working with so many men. It's been pouring out into my community. And I've just really been, I've been reading the Bible, been listening to preachers, been listening to the Vedic knowledge, Srila Prabhupada from the Hare Krishnas. I still watch his stuff. Like, I've been just so inundated with God. My wife's been reading a lot and sharing things. So we're just like, there's just so much God in my life right now that I just like feel so connected and so good. And I believe that it's been that allowed me this cool mystical experience of what I believe to be a perception of the soul. And it was just so peaceful, so profound that I just like, it's almost like beyond words. And I'm just so grateful for it. So the point is that there's a few things that I think I want to share with you out of this reflection, which is one, if you're serious about connecting with God, You've got to clean up. It starts with the tongue. Start speaking positive things and controlling the tongue, meaning get rid of the gossip, get rid of the criticism, get rid of the judgments. If you have something to say, it's that old saying, if you've got something good to say it. If you don't have something good to say, keep your mouth quiet. I've really been practicing that, keeping my mouth quiet when I got nothing to add, there's nothing to say. The second practice of the tongue is making sure that you're eating really clean. So I've been staying away from sugars, processed stuff, been eating really clean. And so I feel really clean, I feel really good. 2, I'm practicing semen retention and chastity. And why I'm calling chastity a bit different is I'm not just retaining, I'm also practicing purifying my mind from the fantasies and such. And even when I do think of any kind of intimacy, first of all, I call it intimacy or lovemaking. So changing my language around it. I'm no longer fucking and whatever. It's intimacy, it's lovemaking. And even when that comes into my head, I'm picturing it in a more intimate way, only with my wife. Really purifying myself in that way. Second, plugged into a local community. You know, whatever your spiritual expression is, I encourage you to get into whether it's a temple or a church or a spiritual community of some sort or a synagogue or a mosque. You have to know what resonates with you. I just encourage you to connect into a spiritual community. You can't do spiritual life by yourself because you have to experience God's grace, to experience service, you need relationship. So get plugged into a local community. Have your online community, have your online support, have your offline. Get back into the world. Turn off YouTube after this video and after you subscribe. And when you're watching stuff online, make sure it's actually uplifting you. Forget the rest. And the fourth thing is have some kind of practice. So I teach a ton of different practices to help you grow spiritually within our training. And if it's not the practices I teach, there are so many different forms and practices to help you control the body and mind and become self-realized. Do those things and I promise you that God will flood you with His love, with His grace, with His mercy. He will bless you in all ways and you too can feel fulfilled. And not only will you feel fulfilled, but your light will shine so bright, your soul will shine so bright that others around you will ignite and be attracted to pursue God in their own life. You can become a tremendous light for this world. I hope this inspired you. And if you've got any comments, please leave them in below, share it out. Let's get this message out there to more people if it resonates. I'll see you on the next video. Sending you lots of love.